Straight ahead, sprinting to the primary. With 6 weeks until the March 3rd primary, we look at the hottest race in Texas this year, U.S. Senate. We focus on the Democratic primary this week. James Talarico tells me what he thinks the biggest issue is in the race against Jasmine Crockett. Back to the polls in Tarrant County, early voting for a special election for an open state Senate seat is set to begin this week. Republican Lee Wamsgans and Democrat Taylor Ramett tell us their top supporters, top concerns. And what's next in Venezuela? After the U.S. captured Nicolas Maduro, Senator Ted Cruz tells us what he wants to see happen in this embattled country. Good morning, I'm Jack Fink. Get your fix for Texas politics. Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas starts now. Hello and welcome to Eye on Politics. A lot happening, so let's get right to it. Candidates and their campaigns are sprinting toward the March 3rd primary here in Texas. And looking at the political calendar, that's a little over 6 weeks away. Early voting in person begins in about 1 month. It runs from Tuesday, February 17th through Friday, February 27th. Election Day is Tuesday, March 3rd, and the primary runoff election is set for Tuesday, May 26th. As we've reported, the marquee race this year is for U.S. Senate. And a new poll out Thursday on the Republican primary shows Attorney General Ken Paxton with a 1 percentage point lead over incumbent Senator John Cornyn, 27 to 26%. Congressman Wesley Hunt of Houston has 16%, 29% remain undecided. Last week, Politico reported that President Trump has no plan to endorse Senator Cornyn at this point, despite the request by not only Cornyn, but other key Republican senators. And that was confirmed by Senate Majority Leader John Thune on Thursday. That same poll shows State Representative James Talarico of Austin ahead of Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Dallas by 9 percentage points, 47 to 38%. 15% remain undecided. A different poll last month showed Crockett ahead of Talarico by 9 percentage points. Last week, Talarico held a town hall in Plano where his campaign said he attracted 2,000 people. He said he has 13,000 campaign volunteers statewide to knock on doors, and he raised a total of $13 million through December 31st. I interviewed Talarico and I asked him why primary voters should choose him over Congresswoman Crockett.
I think I bring something unique to this primary race. I have a history of winning tough races and flipping difficult districts. I first won a seat in the Texas legislature by flipping a Trump district in a county that was so red it hadn't voted for a Democrat for president since Jimmy Carter. I did that by building a big tent, energizing Democrats to show up and vote, inspiring young voters to show up who hadn't participated before, and also peeling people off from the other side, moderates, independents, and yes, some disillusioned Republicans. And so that's the kind of broad coalition we need if we're going to win a seat like this here in Texas.
Congresswoman Crockett has made some controversial comments with regards to Latinos and how they voted, if they voted for President Trump. And so how important is it that the issue of electability for the general election?
Well, I think that is the central question in this primary. Who can win in November? And Congresswoman Crockett, who I deeply respect, is going to be making her case. I'm going to be making my case. But every Democratic voter who shows up in this primary needs to have one question on their mind, and that is who is best positioned to win in November? Because if we don't win, we can't help people. We can't fight back against Republican extremism. In the Texas legislature, for 4 terms, I have seen the consequences of losing elections up close. I've seen my constituents get hurt. I've seen reproductive rights rolled back. I've seen the LGBTQ community attacked. And so I am tired of losing elections. And I have a track record of winning races like this. And our campaign, as you already mentioned, is built to win. And so I hope folks are laser-like focused on this question of who can win.
A lot of discussion right now on health care, specifically on extending the enhanced credits for the Affordable Care Act. Where what plan do you like on that specifically? Because the House just passed a bill that would extend it 3 years. The Senate is working on a different bill that would extend it 2 years. So where are you on this?
Well, we need to at least extend it for 3 years. I believe healthcare is a human right. I'm a type 1 diabetic who has struggled to afford my own insulin. And that's why when I was elected to the State House, I passed the first ever cap on insulin copays at $25 per prescription. That's the kind of leadership we need in Washington, someone who's going to fight for our healthcare.
There have been reports that have shown that there's a lot of fraud in these Affordable Care Act program as it relates to these insurance companies signing people up, and then there are no real people attached to these accounts. So you have insurance companies getting tax dollars. And I'm wondering, should the U.S. clamp down on this? And should there also be income limits? Because there have been reports that show people with $150,000 being able to get health care basically for nothing.
We absolutely have to tackle fraud wherever we see it, especially in healthcare. And this is why I'm putting forward a plan that would allow every Texan, every American, regardless of their age, to join Medicare so that we have a nonprofit public option in our healthcare system that can compete with these for-profit giant insurance companies and then drive down costs for everyone. So that's the kind of bold proposal we need in Washington so that we can actually provide quality care and quality insurance to every single Texan.
So is that Medicare for all?
Well, I like to call it Medicare for y'all, because not only is it providing a quality option for people, but it honors people's free choice. We in Texas, we value independence, we value freedom, we value choice. And so we need a healthcare plan that provides universal coverage and provides that choice. And I think our proposal does that.
Let's talk about some recent headlines. The ICE shooting in Minneapolis is certainly, there's a lot of discussion over that. Where are you on that? And what do you say to law enforcement officers who said people should not be interfering in law enforcement operations, including ICE?
Well, once we have a Senate majority, we must launch a full investigation into ICE. We must haul these masked men before Congress so the world can see their faces. We need to have accountability from the very top, including Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller and the architects of this mass deportation plan. And we've got to hold ICE agents accountable when they kill civilians. This kind of extremism that we've seen on this issue is something that should be deeply troubling to all Texans, all Americans, regardless of where you are on the political spectrum.
10 days ago, the U.S. seized Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela, brought him to the United States. Did you support that or oppose that?
Well, I'm 36 years old. I was 12 when 9/11 happened. And so I know the importance of keeping this country safe. But as a millennial, I also saw how military disasters like the Iraq War robbed this nation of young lives, of billions of dollars, of our moral standing in the world. And with this military intervention in Venezuela, we saw flashes of the Iraq War. And so I'm concerned that the president embarked on this military adventure without the approval of Congress, and that's unconstitutional. I don't believe that Nicolas Maduro was a good guy. He was a brutal dictator. But we do not confront authoritarianism abroad with authoritarianism at home. And so we've got to go about these things while still following our Constitution.
As for Crockett, she wrapped up a bus tour last week in the Rio Grande Valley, San Antonio, and Corpus Christi. Crockett's campaign has not released her fundraising numbers just yet. I'm scheduled to interview her later this week. Crockett and Talarico are set to square off in their first debate coming up at the AFL-CIO convention on Saturday. And one other note about the U.S. Senate race, Senate Minority Leader Democrat Chuck Schumer said while they have a stronger path to retake the majority in the Senate later this year, Texas is not among the states included in their path to victory. The Congressional Rating Service Cook Political Report considers the Senate race, quote, likely are. Up next, Tarrant County residents will be heading to the polls this week. We spoke with both candidates vying for an open state Senate seat about their priorities when Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas returns.